All right, I am now live on Facebook with my new colleague. I'm going to say it wrong.
Um,
Sean, with my new colleague Sean, and she is here for a live guided session into beginning to understand the gene keys. So let me say a little bit about myself, what this is all about, what the gene keys are, and what this session is going to reveal to you, the audience, and what it may reveal to Sean. So, what are the gene keys? Well, the gene keys are an amazing wisdom system that are said to reveal your purpose, your struggles, your challenges, your gifts, what you're meant to do, how to relieve karmic relationships, and just have a more fulfilled life. And I know it sounds bizarre. It sounds like a lot. It sounds like a tall order, but I've been voyaging through the gene keys for 3 years now, and I feel more like myself than I ever have. And I believe that my purpose as an individual is to share purpose with other individuals. And my way of doing that right now is through the gene keys approach. So if that resonates with you at all, stay tuned, hang out with us, and I'm going to share some of that with Sean. So, Sean, thank you so much for joining me for this session. Would you like to briefly introduce yourself and just say a little bit about, where you're at in your journey?
Hi. Yes, I'm in a transition phase, I would say, very much so. Going from uh, the majority of my adult life, so from the age of 20, I was a mother, and there's been a lot of responsibilities and making decisions based on the immediate needs of the family. And then now I'm reached a stage where a lot of those responsibilities aren't calling on me anymore, and I'm looking within to develop and discover who I am really, I suppose, like who I really am, because I've always had this burning question, who am I? What's my purpose? And never really got to the answer of it. So now the responsibilities have been lifted. I've got the space to explore that and go deeper. And now I've got all the life experience as well. And I want to then be able to offer whatever gifts I have and what skills and what I've learned along the way, to create a business and a life that's more balanced, aligned, freedom based, and um, yeah, and just a much more sort of fulfilling and balanced existence that's aligned with who I am.
Yeah. You're in a good place. And
Mm.
even as you express all of that, I feel that's exactly what the Gene Keys is for. You return to yourself because this question of who am I is something that I feel a lot of individuals ask. And it's something that I've asked myself a lot throughout my life. And the interesting thing is that the answers are within us. So even though the Gene Keys are a system, that reveal truths about yourself, it's more like a mirror. It's more like a space or a way for you to remember or return home to who you are and to who you're always meant to be. And the Gene Keys is for everyone, but as a Gene Keys guide, I feel called to share this with entrepreneurs because I believe that if there's anyone in life who can really benefit from understanding their purpose, their gifts and abilities, it's entrepreneurs because you serve your clients with your gifts and abilities. And well, you definitely don't want to serve them from your shadows and your negative patterns, right? So that's a little bit about that. And what I'm going to do for you now is I'm going to share some insights into what is said to be your life theme. So the way the gene keys works is that based on the time of birth, location of birth, and date of birth, there's said to be this energetic imprinting on who you are, on your DNA, your genetic blueprint. And I know to some individuals that may seem far-fetched because to me it sounded very far-fetched 3 years ago. But as I voyage through the insights and as I share these insights with other individuals, they're so resonant that I'm no longer skeptical. I don't have any doubt in my mind that there is some truth and some benefit to be had from these insights. So, what I'm going to share with you is your life theme that is based on this energetic blueprint, this gene key system. All right, so let me find that here. All right, so your life theme is that of the interpersonal life theme of separation. And I did begin to share some insights on this before our call, and you said that it was resonant, and that is a good indicator that it's worthwhile to dive in a bit deeper. So I'm going to break down this reading into three passages. So I'll read one passage and then I'll ask you to reflect on it, what resonates, how does it resonate, and then I'll do that for three passages. All right, so your life theme, this life theme of separation is, well, as I'm getting ready to share, it's like the story you already shared with me on this session. It's just like, wow, there's something there. So your life theme is to separate from others so that you can find yourself and your life purpose within the vast array of potential experiences. Even the first sentence, I'm like, wow. You manage this through allowing yourself to become tranquil, regardless of what happens in your life, by dropping your expectations of what life should give you and by accepting and embracing what it does. When you become objective, you can relate with others from the totality of your being rather than from the place of needing others to make you feel whole. So, separation from others and standing in your own right in the end leads you to your own wholeness. So that's the first part of the reading. And curious to hear if this resonates with you and how, if this has any meaning for you in your life right now.
Yeah, very, very much so. I would say, having had my children young and them being my reason to get up in the morning and do everything I did for, best part of 30 years, um, until about, say, 3 years ago, um, when a huge, dramatic implosion kind of happened and the whole world as I knew it started, or
Yeah,
my world as I knew it began, cracking open, for want of a better word. Um, I knew in my heart that this was a good thing because I would never have separated from my children. My children had to separate from me.
mm,
It was very dramatic and it was hurtful, but I knew that, and I've said this at the time, and I knew I needed to know who I was. This was about me learning to know who I
mm,
was without them because they were so embedded in my identity as like I was their mother. And even though I had people know me as me, but it's like I don't know who I am without them
right.
or without in reflection or in the mirror of other people. So I was always, if I'm doing okay by them, then I'm doing okay, I
Yeah,
suppose. And I've had to be on this journey, which I'm still on. I'm not quite there because I go up and down in it, but it's about me being okay to be me
right,
without and yeah. So I would say that that very much resonates,
right. Yeah.
100%. That's like
Well,
almost describes
100%.
what I've been going through.
You know, one thing that people say they experience as they voyage through the gene keys with me, or even on their own through the gene keys, is they experience synchronicity. So just the timing of us doing a session like this and me sharing this with you and what you're going through now, like the timing of it is quite synchronistic. So
Yeah.
let me continue to share with you this reading and what I gather from sharing with you this reading and you reflecting back. to me and reflecting back to yourself, the insights is that there is this theme of separating from others who you've really been there for in your life or who have been there for you. And that separation is actually what is going to lead you to wholeness. And I sense this energy of validation, this like, wow, it's not a coincidence. Like this is not a coincidence that your life has gone like this. Like the meaning of your life may be right around the corner. So let me continue here. At times, it may be a challenge for you to stand apart, especially when you see how much you are able to offer. However, a habitual tendency to rescue others or take charge of their chaotic circumstances will distract you from your own purpose and fulfillment. And what I sense is that this is a continuation or an elaboration of the same thing that we began to discuss. So when you enter situations from an objective standpoint, you will find that your presence is enormously effective. Your ability to be patient and act in the right moment, combined with your expansive view beyond any implied limitations about what can be achieved, is what makes your life and your abilities so vital. That's an interesting one. Um, I'm still digesting that one. Yeah. If you'd like to express or say how that resonates with you, if there's any meaning from that, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, I think that's very much been something I've been conscious of in my work life because I've been a support worker for most of my life. So mainly in education, but I've done a bit of outreach in the community with in the housing sector as well. And I'm currently supporting autistic and ADHD students at
Mm,
university as a mentor. And I've also trained as a life coach, which has helped me again with that, like that separation and being more objective in the scenarios. And, it's about learning to hold space for somebody and not have to interject anything.
mm.
Sometimes they just need to talk and they just need to say it and then they're okay, or they hear themselves say it and they come to their own solution if if there's an issue that's going on. So yeah, I suppose that has been a theme that's come that it's about holding space for somebody and facilitating their autonomy, rather than get in and try and fix things, which I think was a tendency, or immediately try and empathize and get in and do things, which, I think that's something that I've let go of over the years. But I know I can still get emotionally attached because I care, I suppose, but in a professional way.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to
I,
say I
I,
get, it's having that professional separation, and you
right.
can't not be affected by sometimes people's lives and stories that they come to you with and they share you with. But yeah, yeah. So I
Yeah,
would say that resonates as something that I've been on a journey of learning throughout the years. But yeah,
yeah.
but
I get
being
it.
more
Yeah.
detached, more detached. I think since the
It's
life coaching training and
it
understanding
helps
how
you.
people's
Yeah.
brains work and how
Yeah.
relationships work and how people think more, you can see it in interplay in your own family and in relationships and
Yeah.
out in the world, and see how people, well, they're all just coming from their own perspective and everyone sees it through their own eyes anyway. So
Right.
yeah, so it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, thanks for sharing and expressing that. I used to be an educator. I used to be a school teacher, and I used to tutor autistic children in my university days. So I'm very familiar with those dynamics. And the one part that sticks out to me about that is your ability to be patient and act in the right moment. I mean, education, special needs education, even in relationships with your own kids or family members, like that's so healthy. That's so valuable. And attachment is good. You want to be attached and connected to some individuals, but there's that healthy level of detachment, right? So it's that balance, attachment, um, detachment. And one word that comes to mind is it's just balance, right? You're not codependent, you're not overly independent where you don't need anyone. There's just like this balance of interdependence, right? It's like you have people that you can rely on, they rely on you, but you're also independent. So, I can talk about this for days, for hours, which is why I'm a Gene Keys guide.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share with you one part of this passage last, and this is specifically about one of the 11 spheres that make up your Gene Keys profile, which I will share on the screen after I read this for you. So in the Gene Keys, there are 64 keys. And each of these 64 keys has this different energy, this different archetypal energy, this different story, this different hero's journey. And it's from these one of 64 keys at a different sphere that may be a prominent theme in your life. So I'm going to read about this one for you. So your life's work, which is what you're here to experience, what you're here to do, is Gene Key 35. And it says that you begin your life with a deep drive to experience everything that is offered, many times getting away with outrageous escapades that expand beyond your sense of what is possible, perhaps in your younger days. As you grow older, you may be sought out as someone with a wealth of knowledge about life experiences, even as the people and things that used to draw your attention no longer do. And you move on to new experiences as you are more selective about who and what to involve yourself with. You will move more closely toward your own center and away from many of the experiences that others seek. So, by understanding your design, by trusting your design, by understanding your profile to know who and what really calls to you, you can let go of the past and move forward. So this last part. Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot we need to say. I think we just take it in.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
would say I've been one of the reasons I haven't really settled in any kind of job or career is because I've just been too aware that there's just so much else to experience, and I never wanted to be pinned down or held down by anything. So
Yeah.
it makes a whole lot of sense. And yes, I was always, when I was younger, like out, I mean, I didn't do anything too illegal,
Yeah.
or anything like that. But yeah, I was very much out for to get the experiences as soon as I could get out there. Yeah,
Yeah.
and learn about life, and yeah, wanted to experience it all, and then did regret it at some points because it was really really difficult. But yeah, that that really, yeah, mic drop.
Mic drop, the resonance, right? This is why I do what I do. This is why I share this because there's so much validation. Like the experiences we have in life that we think have no meaning are actually the experiences that we're meant to have. And the word purpose comes to mind. And these keys have a name. So this 35th gene key is all about adventure. And as I was
Okay.
sharing it with you, I saw your face light up as I was talking about, what you may have been like in your youth, someone who just seeks
Yeah,
adventure and different experiences.
yeah.
Um, so now what I do is I'm going to share with you your Gene Keys profile, and I'll send this to you after the session as well. But now I'm going to begin to tie it all together. So if this one life theme reading has been as profound as it has been in just this short session, then the next thing I invite people to do is to voyage through the Gene Keys. So let me share my screen here. All right, can you see my screen?
Hmm.
All right, so this is your Gene Keys profile. And what I shared with you in that last part of the passage, like I mentioned, it was related to the sphere of your life's work. And I mentioned Gene Key 35. So I'm going to, for the rest of the session, before we conclude, I'm just going to focus on the sphere of your life's work, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what Gene Key 35 means. Um, so as you can see, you can go on a whole journey through the gene keys to discover more about yourself, to understand your shadow patterns, to embrace the gifts that are there within the shadow patterns. And I'll say that the reading that I shared with you is also referred to as an incarnation cross. Incarnation is what you're here to do, what you're here to experience. And a cross, well, a cross is the intersection of 4 points. So those 4 points that made up that incarnation cross reading that I just shared with you are the four spheres in green. So those are referred to as the activation sequence. And you can see that here. You can see the key. So it's activating your purpose, it's activating your genius, and again, if that reading was resonant with you, and it was because, we just talked about it, then it may be worthwhile to find out, well, what is this 35th gene key that made up part of that incarnation cross life theme reading? What is this fifth gene key? What is the story there? What is the story of the 63rd gene key? What is the story of the 64th gene key? What insights into myself and to my purpose can I glean from those? But again, I'm focused on this one sphere today, the sphere of your life's work. So, as I mentioned, this 35th gene key is the key of adventure. And you can see next to the key, there are these words hunger, adventure, boundlessness. So, this is what is referred to as a three frequency band. So, hunger is the lowest frequency, adventure is a higher frequency, boundlessness is the highest frequency. So what I find fascinating about the gene keys is that it's all the same energy, it's all the same frequency, but it's our mood, it's our energetics, it's our frequency that then brings us into the shadow, the gift, or the city, which is the highest level. So the shadow frequency or the shadow level of this key is hunger. And it's always seeking stimulation. It's always seeking something to do. These are people who like to keep busy. They hate to be bored. And individuals with this hunger can be a bit reckless. It's almost insatiable. It's because hunger is not a good thing. Hunger has this heaviness to it. It's not that you can easily be satiated, as I mentioned. So the wisdom of the gene keys is that every shadow contains a gift. So because of this shadow of hunger, you can then experience this gift of adventure. And as a Gene Keys guide, I've read all the books, I've done the courses. There's a lot of information on just this one key. And adventure may seem that you like to travel, you like to be adventurous, you like to go to new places. But the wisdom of the Gene Keys is that you finally embrace the adventure of the heart. You go where your heart leads you. You follow your heart, and that is the adventure that is then very satisfying because it's not this insatiable hunger that just seeks for stimulation and fun. You're following the adventure of the heart, and where the heart wants to go, if you follow, well, the word that comes to mind is fulfillment. So beyond this gift level is the city level. And siddhi, Siddhi, you can see right here, is a Sanskrit word that means divine essence. So it's the highest frequency and it's your truest essence. So beyond adventure is boundlessness. Like wherever you go, your heart is full. Wherever you go, you're experiencing the adventure of your heart. And I feel that it is quite resonant with where you're at right now because I feel before it was more about taking care of, your children or taking care of your parents. So I sense that you haven't really been able to go on the adventure of the heart and follow what you really wanted to do for a long time. So and I see you nodding. It's like,
Yeah.
so that is your life's work. That is the theme of your life's work. And I can already see, the themes of this playing out in your life. Um, yeah, so from what I shared, yeah, does it resonate? Do you have any takeaways or insights you'd like to share before we continue on?
Yeah, definitely I would say the travel thing. I know, well,
Mm,
my mum had it too, and she did travel a lot. Um, yes, yeah, because I also I'm literally I'm preparing to go on a travel to be away for out of the country for nearly 3 months. Um, yeah, literally now. So, um, so yeah, the travel thing, but yeah, it's a travel to, but where I'm going is somewhere because I want to connect with, have that space and time to connect again with myself and with my heart. And this is all part of my,
yeah,
why I'm signed up for this today because it's all part of where I'm at in that. Yeah, so yeah, definitely, and I feel the one of the reasons that I want to be creating this business or this living or this work that brings in an income is so that I can literally see the world because there's so much to see.
yeah,
Um, and so yeah, experiencing different cultures and
yeah,
just have that enriching experience. And that's what travel's about for me, is about enriching and broadening yourself, your, your heart, your
yeah,
mind, your soul.
yeah. Well, y- you wrap that up quite nicely, right? Like travel's great. I love travel. As you know, I'm here in Thailand. I came here 10 plus years ago, and 10 plus years later, I'm still here now with my daughters and my wife. Um, but as exciting and as fun as travel can be, I think the lesson or the insight from just this one key is wherever you travel, wherever you adventure to, make sure you follow your heart. Because that is a true adventure when you bring your heart, your mind, your body, and your soul with you. So I'll say a little bit about how this journey goes, and there's an invitation for you, Sean, or for other individuals out there to connect more with me. I'll put a link in the comments so that you can book a call with me if you would like a personalized session where I can begin to guide you through the amazing, fantastic voyage that is the Gene Keys. But to say a little bit about how this voyage goes, and then we can conclude the session. So the green spheres, again, are referred to as the activation sequence, and we're activating your genius. And the word genius, the way that most individuals use it, has to do with intelligence or how smart you use it, or how smart you are. In the language of the gene keys, genius has to do with your abilities that are in your genetics because the root word of genius is genes. So it's really about activating your genetic inherent natural abilities more than activating your mental intelligence. So those are the spheres in the green. That is a whole journey in itself. And then we go into the spheres that are the red, and that is called the Venus sequence. And this is about transforming your relationship with yourself and others. And there's something very interesting about going through this Venus sequence where there's this heaviness as you understand more about the shadows for this Venus sequence. I felt it, my colleagues feel it. There's a lot of heaviness because relationships can have a lot of heaviness, but the heaviness and identifying those shadows allows us to integrate, shift, and transform those shadows into gifts in your relationships, which can be beneficial for your family, your colleagues, your audience, your clients, which is again why I'm fascinated by this and sharing it with entrepreneurs. And the last sequence that I'll touch on is referred to as the Pearl sequence. And this is how you're meant to prosper. I would even call this the entrepreneur sequence because I feel it can refer specifically to business, but the Gene Keys doesn't call it the entrepreneur sequence. They call it the Pearl sequence or the prosperity sequence. So that said, there's a whole journey that you can go on. Let me stop sharing my screen here, and I'll just begin to wrap it up and conclude. So, yeah, it's been an honor to share with you, Sean. I mean, as you can see, it lights me up to share this because I see how much it lights other people up. There's again this validation that the seemingly random experiences you have in life are not so random, right? Call it purpose, call it finding yourself. And I think there's a lot of value and benefit in that. Um, I think that is pretty much it. Yeah, I just ask you, if you were to curious to explore further, like where would you want to go based on what we shared today?
Ooh, um, I think where I'm at is exploring more of what we're saying about the genius thing, but I suppose that's at the core of it all, the finding what your soul
Yeah,
gift. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
like sharing that, what that is, what those skills are to share. Because I think we're moving into a new era, aren't we?
yeah,
Generally, of where business isn't going to be, you know, as it has been, and
yeah,
people are sharing their gifts, and it's more about who you are
yeah,
rather than following a formula, which is much more aligned with who I am anyway, and maybe why I haven't fit in so well, struggled when I have tried to. Um, yeah, so that's where I'd be at is like finding out exactly what those skills are, what holds me back,
yeah,
what has held me back, and what I'm bringing to the table. So then what I can offer with the skills that I've got, and be
yeah,
like, this is me. If you want to work with me,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
that sort of thing. But that's where I'm at. That's literally where I'm at right now.
yeah. You've hit it right on the nose. And starting with the genius sequence is typically where a lot of individuals start. And those four green spheres, they're also called the prime gifts or the core gifts because they do have a lot to do with the abilities that you're meant to share with others. And the gene keys aren't for everyone. There is this future human dynamic to it, and future human is something that they reference in the Gene Keys literature, where there are individuals emerging who know that business is less transactional and it's more transformational. It's less about information and it's more about wisdom. And the way I understand gifts and abilities is that it's more about your aura. It's more about your being and how you radiate when you're at your best. And what I'll share with you here is not from the Gene Keys. This is from my own language, but I believe that individuals are very empowered when they identify their unlimited wellspring of generous genius. So you find what lights you up, you find your genius, you find what you can do in a way that doesn't deplete you because it just lights you up. And then you just want to be generous with it and contribute to people with that. And if you have a business, well, how can you be generous with your gifts and also be profitable? So I think that's quite a good way to conclude for this session. Thank you so much for receiving this session with me, Sean. And I'll say to anyone who may be tuning in live or catching the replay, if you're interested in booking a session with me, you can do so. If you have any questions about the Gene Keys, you're more than welcome to send me a message as well. I'm Justin, and I am a Gene Keys Master Guide. And here's to more purpose, more prosperity, and more profitability. All right. Cheers, everyone.